desktop.
Okay, just to let everyone know, we're recording. So if you don't want to be on camera, make sure you turn your cameras off now. So welcome to our masterclass today. I know it's a bit late for everyone that's in Madrid. So yeah, just try to stay with us. We're going to try to keep you energized because we have a really interesting topic today, which Alejandro from Acid Tango is going to be telling us how to develop an MVP. So just to introduce myself a bit before we start, I'm Phoebe and I'm digital content lead at Bridge for Billions. If you haven't heard of us, I'm going to leave the website in the chat so you can check us out after the class. I'm also going to leave some links to our next masterclasses in the chat so you can also check that out afterwards, of course, not during the class. And I'm going to hand over to Alejandro, who is going to introduce Acid Tango and what you guys are doing.
Well, I'm going to share my desktop screen because the other one wasn't working. So hopefully, probably you see my slides right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to play here. It will looks like, oh, I'm going to change. So everything should be perfect and set up. Okay. So before to doing the introduction, I would like to talk about the title of the presentation, because this is something that it was kind of really ambitious to be the ultimate MVP masterclass, right? So I would like to say, I decided to change the title at the last moment because I wanted to be more close to the earth, right? So I wanna do a masterclass about building, launch, and grow tech MVP, okay? Maybe it's not the ultimate, but I hope it's very useful, and I hope our audience is pretty much entrepreneurs or people who are looking to launch their idea, right? So they will be taking advantage of the presentation. And here I am, okay? So I'm Alejandro Gonzalez, I'm CEO and co-founder. Of course, I'm an engineer. Okay, I founded this this company with my business partner, Juan Nogueras. I know him from the university. It was 2012, but I mean, we met in the university like maybe long time ago. It's almost 20 years ago. We both come from the entrepreneurial sector. We were working on startups on the technology sector in different verticals. We were working on event organization, video games, and data-driven companies, right? So we have quite a nice background. And then we started to work for other entrepreneurs, right? So we would like to help them to build their ideas. So this is where we basically talk about what is Acid Tango, right? Acid Tango is a digital product studio. Okay, so we are based in Madrid, Tenerife, and Amsterdam, and we team up with entrepreneurs in different fields, right? In different departments. As you can see here, we handcraft digital products. We have a team composed by UX developers, UX UI designers, developers, DevOps, some marketeers. Okay. We are right now 35 people, all of them split in those 3 offices based on Madrid, Amsterdam, and Tenerife. We basically target 3 different clients. We work together with corporate innovation departments. We help them to take decisions, build their products, design their products in a really nice way. We team up with venture builders that are pretty much venture capital companies that are really focused on screening the market and launch products to the market. And we help startups or scale-ups that already have some funding to improve their product and launch new features on their products and give some guidance and consultancy to them, right? Here is our beautiful, some of the people on our beautiful team. As I say, we are composed of UX designers, developers, marketeers, and we are really focused on provide good quality, right? Use the best tools, best methodologies, be really focused on thinking and doing, and achieve and launch these products on the market in a really short time of period, right? We are talking about, depending on the idea, we're talking about 3 months or 6 months, or sometimes we are talking about 1 year because the idea is a really complex solution. So it depends on the startup, the idea, or the client that we are targeting. Here we have some of our clients. Okay, we were working from a few big companies here in Spain. Some of them are really famous logos, right? As Ferrovial, Dia, Berger, right? They are big corporations, as we said, and we were working too for venture builders, as we can see before Motion, and some more companies. Most of them are startups, but these ones are typical suspects when we are talking about our clients. Well, since we are a studio, I wanted to be focused on startups, and I hope my audience today is really entrepreneurs and some people that wants to build their own ideas. So I will try to give some advice in terms of how they could do all these things, right? How they could execute all this as a product, right? What is an MVP? Okay, an MVP is as you see, it's a product with enough features, but good enough to provide feedback from the client and test it in the market. Okay, most of you probably have seen this image. It basically says how not to build a minimum viable product. In the first line you have a car, right, where you are starting from 1 wheel, then from 2 wheels, and then finally you achieve to get a car. And what they have typically is how to build a minimum viable product. They have a scooter, a bicycle, a motorcycle, and then a car. But I will say this is actually not how to build a minimum viable product. Like in our experience, you will need to be focused on your value proposition. And your value proposition is build a car, but not the car that you are dreaming on, but a car that is good enough to basically work as you think your product should work, right? Here at the beginning, we have a car that at least have two seats and have wheels, right? So it can go on the street, right? And then you're starting to provide new features like space on the back, more seats, more speed features on the car, etc. So for us, this is what a minimum viable product actually looks. Enough for running on the streets as a usual car, right? And as I say, I'm going to point 6 of the main steps that we are handling when we are trying to launch a product to the market with our clients. I'm going to try to be side by side with you guys, because probably you will have a team of 2 or 3 people, maybe 1 developer, 1 business partner, etc. So I would like to be on the ground when I'm explaining the process. So ideation, how this is working. Well, you usually come up with a crazy idea, and you have to, as I say, and I show on the first slides, you have to be very clear about your value proposition. Okay, I want to build a car, right? Before to understand your value proposition, you have to think provide human solutions and be really user-centered, right? So you need to check with a possible market, with your market, as soon as you can, right? You need to evaluate the context. You need to understand in what market are you gonna start, or you are gonna be launching your product. And before even to start doing or building anything or designing anything, you need to check your hypothesis. This is something that we are doing here in Acid Tango, okay? And we take a lot of time, but It's something that you could do as a startup, even if you are 2 or 3 people with a notebook, family, friends, or people that you can find on the street or in the social networks, right? So you start, of course, interviewing people. Okay, you can go over there and starting to pitch your idea, to ask questions about what they need, what they want, what features they would like, how they think this product it should be. Okay, this is something that, as I said, you could do by yourself. This is something that we do in a more crazy way with with some processes that we have internally. And then you need to create your user personas, identify what are your typical clients or your target clients. As you can see here, we built a user personas for a product that we were building. It's a pet store, a pet food store, right? Where you are providing a customized food for your pets. And here we will see a pet owner that have some scenario, right? And has some expectations. And this is really important because this is a really good tool, the user personas, to define your idea, okay? And understand what they want from you. After these all interviews, you are able to build your customer journey, okay? Your customer journey basically will have all the steps that the customer will face when it's leading with your product, okay? When it's a website, a mobile app, a car, right? Or even a data-driven solution, right? Or even a Google Home application that you are talking to, okay? So these are pretty much all the steps. This is related to the other use case, the food store, right? And it says basically how the user is get awareness on our site, is browsing on the website, the meal plans, goes through the checkout, buys, pays a subscription, then the subscription comes to their house and they give a rating, right? So this is really important for you to understand what the flow of your user will be as soon as you have your product on the market. This will help you to understand better the flow. Another interesting tool that you could do, obviously with a notebook, okay, it will be enough. With a pencil and a pen and a notebook, you could basically write and put your stakeholders. And here I have another example. This was more like a service where we wanted to build something like Airbnb experiences, where you can be a host of an experience, or you can be a creative host, like a musician that is going to a house to give a concert. And you can be a physical guest that is going to that house, and a virtual guest that is going through the platform, basically watching the concert, right? This is really important for you guys when you are building your startup. Understand what type of customers, users, or people is involved on the platform. And here I only have the customers and users, but it's important you have the operational manager who is on the back office, or someone who is answering the chat on the website. So this tool is really interesting to build the next one, which is the service blueprint. Here you have a really nice image where you have, again, the customer journey on top, okay, where all the different stages of the customer is facing. But here you will represent more the map of your whole entire process of your service delivery, okay? You will need to have not only the customers or users, you will need to have who is on your team. What you have on the front stage, on your portal, on your mobile app, but you will need to understand what is going on your background, right? On your back office, for example. Do you have an operational manager that is uploading documentation? Do you have someone who is answering the chats on the platform? You will have someone who is leading with the clients on a sales or a human or physical way, right? So this map is very important to you to understand all the interactions on your product before to do even a design on on your platform, right? These three tools, there are a lot of tools in service design, a lot of methodologies, a lot of things that you could do, but these ones are the most interesting ones because it gives you a clear picture of your platform, right? Another stage that we are going through when we are building a minimum viable product is the team. Probably you have seen this series, right? That is called Silicon Valley, right? Here, this is probably it looks more like a real startup where you have these four guys, and they don't have money enough to hire anybody, right? So this is why it's important to hire less and hire later, as soon as you have money, okay? And as soon as you have your team, probably it will be maybe one developer, maybe one guy from marketing and some business development, okay? Sometimes the business developer, you will need to go through MailChimp and set up a template and do some newsletter. The marketing girl or guy will need to help to the developer to set up some services. So this is very important, right? So all the team have to be very focused on actions, not words, not always promising. If you are doing something, the other part of the team, it need to be involved on the whole process, okay? And get well-rounded individual, right? So if you are three of you, you will need to have a lot of skills, right? Your skill set, it will increase. You will see and you will understand how you will learn in this process. You will acquire a lot of skills, and this will help you later on another stage that we'll have, which is the evolution stage, right? Because as soon as you start to hiring, you will understand how to do the things because you have done it on the past, right? And if you have enthusiasm on the process, communicate it, because all the team is gonna be embedded on this environment, right? They will be powered themselves each other, right? Another thing for the team is to have a, well, here in the picture on the right is something that I want to describe. This is a screen of Jira. Jira is a tool of team management, right? It's where you can basically write and define your features, your team, right? Your task, etc. It's a really good management tool. And in order to fine tune the team, you will need to use tools like this, right? To organize your work and to be able to do what I'm saying on the left side, which is have unity. You will need to have all together and working on the same objectives, right? But of course, you will need alone time. And when you are alone, when we are talking about a programmer, a designer, marketing, or a business developer, you will need to understand or at least have a board where you can see what everybody is doing. And this is where we use tools like this, like Jira, and defining the tasks, etc. So important things are, meetings are nice, but sometimes are toxic, because if you have many meetings, you are going to be in analysis paralysis, okay? And you are not going to be doing many things. You are going to be more like defining, talking, and not executing. And sometimes it's better execute and make mistakes than being organizing all the time, right? And when you achieve in the whole process, even in the design process, the building process, when you are achieving something, when you have a mock-up, when you are building a feature or you are launching a feature, you have to seek and celebrate these small victories. This is why a solution like this one, a Kanban, which is a board like this one, it helps you to celebrate these victories, because as soon as you are moving cards, you have this feeling of achievement, right? Here are some tooling for team management that are really interesting. As I said, as I mentioned, Jira, Trello. Trello is a really famous tool. GitHub is a code collaboration tool. Miro, which is a tool that it helps you to have these posits methodologies on remote, right? Slack, of course, is a really famous communication tool. But Slack, when we are mentioning Slack, it could be another tools like WhatsApp or Telegram, or these kind of tools are similar. and Zoom, of course, for having meetings or get people remote involved, right? And then we are moving to the design process. Okay, you did the whole research, you put your team together, cool. And then you have to design the best experience and product as possible. Okay, so you will follow a few stages on this design process. As a startup, as I mentioned, this can be done with no. I'm gonna mention a lot the notebook because I don't want to limit you guys with the amazing methodologies or amazing tools. But all that you have here, you could do it with a notebook or a laptop. Okay, so you will need in the definition to list all your features. Okay, if you have a car. Even those ones that you know you are not going to introduce, or even those ones that people were asking, but you understand that they are really difficult to achieve, okay? But list all your features, understand everything that you got on the table, and then select some of them, okay? Select the correct features, and then ignore the details early on, okay? So details are going to come up later, and probably those details that you are defining at the early stages are not going to be the details that you will be thinking after 6 or 10 months testing your product on the market, right? For starting, you will need to create a short-term roadmap, right? Using Trello or using Jira, you will need to define what task or what features you are going to launch or you are going to be working on. Here I have an example. This is a very interesting example. Trello is empowering their tool, and they have their roadmap of the Trello platform roadmap. Okay, they have it public, right? So you can see what they are gonna build on the next month and what functionalities they are gonna include on their platform, right? So here we can see a roadmap from July to September, April, June, whatever, right? And they have those cards, and in those cards you can include your team members, who is in charge of who or whatever, right? So you will need to build this roadmap of features. And then as soon as you have the main features, you can start working on your journey map, okay? Your interface journey is typically this map where you are listing all the screens that you are looking, and you basically are replicating the customer journey, but on an interface, right? You have this login, this user dashboard, you have an area where you are listing all your budgets, right? This is a really powerful tool because later it will help you to put on the ground the different tasks. It will help you to mock. It will help you to test your platform as soon as you have this, because you have the flow and you can go through the whole process, okay? And at the beginning, you can start mocking. This is really interesting because you can do some mocks on a notebook again, right? You can go to the people you were interviewing on your service design process and testing with them. You can go, okay, have a look. Do you understand this screen? This screen is gonna move from this side to another side. What do you think, etc. Right? So mocking is really important for testing. You have to be interface first, and you have to be very focused on the context. For example, here we have a link, right? But if you would like to put a button, always think on the context. What should go there, a button or a link? It's important to understand what you are doing. And in the mocking process, of course, if you are going to test that with some people, it's important to think on the copywriting, right? Because copywriting is design at the end, right? Whatever you write there, it will help your users to understand what they are doing. So you have to be very concerned about copywriting. As soon as you have your mocking, of course, you can start. If you have, sometimes some startups don't have really nice skills on designing, so they can go directly to using some templates or some front end or developing on top of an existing platform, right? But it's interesting to have some low fidelity prototypes and high fidelity visuals before to start. This is ideally, okay? But this is something important because with low fidelity prototypes, you can test better. You can give a better idea of what's going on the platform to the final users. And developers should be involved in this process too, right? Not only UX UI designers or your team. If you are 3 people, the guy who's gonna code have to be on these decisions too, right? For this purpose, you have well, a lot of tools: Sketch, Zeppelin. Well, here we have Adobe XD, which is for building vectorial solutions. Marvel for doing mocks or write presentations for your clients. So those tools are going to help you to deal with this process. And then we move to the building side of the process, right? As well, you already have the service design, your team, your design process, and then you start, if it's a digital product, coding. Okay. Of course, you will need a developer on your team, or you will need to hire some freelance, or you will need to put together some partner that will help you with the development. Okay. Here is something really nice from the Pragmatic Programmer book. You have to sync your software. It's not gonna be perfect, okay? But when you are developing, you need to sync and give something to your users to play with, right? Because as I said at the beginning, you will start getting feedback earlier, right? And this is something that you have to put in mind from the beginning. You have to be really focused on, okay, I need to launch something really fast on the market. I need to test my idea, okay? We were doing that on the design part, but in a real platform, as soon as you launch your real platform, you are going to get feedback earlier, right? And here you need to establish the mindset. As I said, you need to be really focused on the race to running software. Okay, I need to develop. I need to focus on the main features that I want to develop and launch as soon as I can. As soon as you have this on the market, iterate and repeat really fast. Don't be focused on collateral details, like, for example, preference. I'm thinking on the pagination, right? I need to select what type of pagination I want. I need 5 lists, 10 lists on my final list. Or we don't want to be focused on this. I don't want to be changing my profile picture on the platform at the beginning, right? So try to avoid these preferences and be focused on the real features, okay? And test in the wild. I mean, any test that you can advance, anything that you could do is important, of course. If you have the skills to do in testing, it's really important to do it. But as soon as you launch, the best test that you will have, because real users are crazy people pressing buttons on your platform, right? So you will understand better how this is working, not only on the technical side, but on the business side too, because you will start understanding your clients, if they are interested or not. Here I have a concept, which is tracer bullets. Tracer bullets are these typical bullets that you put on the well, typical not here in Spain, but maybe in other countries, right? Where especially for special forces, right? When they are fighting at night, they need to put a lot. They have these bullets that launch a light on the dark, right? The simile here is you need glowing software that is basically give you light on the darkness. Because as soon as you have something, some software, some piece of software that is working at the beginning, it will give you light of the decisions that you have to take in the future. Because most of the startups, of most of developers, tends to think a lot in the future and a lot how will be the perfect tool. This is something that is not working, and this is because this is why we are saying glowing software, right? That is enlightening the path to the real scenario, right? So repeating myself, get something working early, build a structure to work in. This software, it will give us an integration platform for the future. And of course, it will make you feel better because you will have something to demonstrate and feel progress, right? This image on the right side is a stream programming methodology, right? Where you are iterating really fast. This is something that was used for platforms like GitLab or platforms that iterates really fast. and are less focusing on meetings than in putting something on place, right? And you can see there a release plan, an iteration plan, it works on weeks and days, right? So it's really, really fast methodology. In terms of architectural, technical architectural, I will suggest starting from the monolith. Don't think in a platform that is perfect. Don't think in a splitting all your code at the beginning. Okay, it's important to have less software, and sometimes a monolith means less software. You will have all the features on the same code base, and it will be easier for you and for your developers understand better the code. That it will help them to be happier, right? Because they are going to understand their own piece of code, especially if you are one developer at the beginning, it will optimize for happiness, right? Select the best tools that you feel comfortable. It's not about what are the best tools in the market. It's what are you feeling comfortable with, right? This is something that you have to think about it. Of course, code speaks. Any change that you're doing on the code, if it's very difficult, maybe that's not the way. Then you have to rethink the feature, because that feature is very complicated, or maybe it's so complicated. Then don't go for it. Go for something simple and test it easier, right? And of course, as soon as you are building, all developers make mistakes, all of us, right? So you have to be really aware that sometimes your code is generating a lot of debt, technical debt is called, right? This concept is something that it will come up in the future to you. It will come to your bed at night and it will kill you if you don't manage that debt, okay? So you have to really be aware that you are generating problems in your code. But as soon as you are aware and you work later on an evolution phase, it will help you to deal with your MVP. Okay, you have be very focused on things to prototype. Okay, sometimes prototypes are different than building code, because prototypes are things that you are testing and maybe you are throwing away. Okay, things that you can prototype are architecture. For example, you can build you can use a framework like Ruby on Rails and build a small mock with an architecture based on a model view controller, right? And check how this is working. It's not working for me. Maybe I select another framework, etc. Right? A new functionality that you can test and test with I don't know, an external language or whatever. Is something that you can test, and if it's not working, you can throw it away. Structure or contents on external data. Third-party integrations on your platform is something that you can test and throw them away if you are not interested. For example, a chat platform that you can integrate into your website, right? This is something that you can prototype and throw them away, okay? Well, here I have a lot of languages and tools that it could help you when you are a developer. Well, the main suspects nowadays, the most hipster ones are, well, JavaScript in the front end with React Native, with React, Vue, Angular. Well, we have mobile development languages like Kotlin or Swift. Of course, we have React Native too. And in the backend, we have, well, Node.js, Rails, I mentioned that. We have platforms on the cloud like Amazon Web Service that it will help you to deploy really fast your platform, right? So select your tools, select the tools that you are more confident and comfortable with. Be focused on that. Don't be too much aware of what is going outside. Be more focused on what you like and what you think is better for your platform, right? And then launching. After building the platform, after 3 months, you, the coder, maybe the business developer learned to code too, and it was helping to you for 1 month, something very crazy, but then you start and launch the platform, right? This is something really scary. It's your first day in production, and you have to be very focused on creating expectation. This is a landing page, as you can see on the right side, right, where you are basically something is good coming to San Francisco, enter your email, and we will put you on our invite list. This is something really interesting because you are gonna make them feel special, right? So you have to create your powerful promo site and getting leads to your future platform, right? You need to write the blog wave. It's interesting. You are pitching your platform, talking to possible customers, going to events, and solicit early means bring new leads, and you will get users before your platform is into the market. So they will help you to test the platform as soon as you have it on the market, right? As soon as you launch your platform, of course, listen to your clients, okay? You need to have a really tuned-up platform, a really good logging tool, right? That it's enabling you to detect any bugs on the platform, where the people is coming from, where they are clicking, etc. Right? You need to create a support channel. This is really interesting. There are a lot of tools right now in the market, like Intercom, Zendesk, that enables to you to have a chat room, right, where you can talk to your clients, where you can provide them with support, and you can even automate some answers to their questions, right? So this will help you to answer quick, okay? And don't be scared to be the perfect platform, because usually startups, the really good ones, have a lot of bugs at the beginning, but they don't hide that, right? They publicize their screw ups, right? They share with the clients, and they get feedback from them. If they are happy, they get feedback from them how to improve the platform, okay? And then we are talking about the evolution of the platform, okay? Remember, it's gonna be crazy as soon as you launch, okay? It's gonna be probably you, the developer, the marketer, the business developer is looking for new clients. You as a programmer, maybe you are 1 or 2 people, right? You're gonna be 1 month without sleeping, tuning up the platform and listening to your clients, checking the bugs and fixing everything, okay? And you have to be better, not beta, okay? Because if you remember, for example, it was long time in beta, and they were really criticized about it. But you have to be really aware when you are gonna be in a real production stage, right? Don't be hide on the beta logo forever, right? And all bugs are not equal, right? There are things that are really important on your platform, and you have to be really aware to fix. If that means fix it to the next day, otherwise you are going to lose a lot of clients or whatever, right? And right out the storm is, well, it's self-explained, right? You have to be very, very fast and very aware on the first month of launching, right? Well, then if you are succeed, then you are starting to get money. Maybe you get some investment, maybe you not. Maybe you are bootstrapping, I don't know. And then you have to think on growing your team, okay? You have then to start specializing your team. But this decision at the beginning of your startup is gonna be really important. If you're talking about design, maybe you want to hire some UX expert, or if we are talking about programming, maybe you don't have enough skills on DevOps or on front end or whatever. You have to make the right decision, right? So in order to hire people, you have to make your product appealing enough to get talent. Sometimes startups are really appealing and really interesting, and there are developers that are interested to work for less money, but maybe for stocks or for a different environment. And you have to do your product appealing, your company appealing for those developers, designers, marketeers, whatever, right? You have to be really aware of your lack of expertise in all the fields, in development, in design, on business development, right? You have to be really aware of what you are lacking, and then you have to make that decision, okay? And sometimes you don't have enough money. So if you have the expertise because you have been dealing for 1 year with all the process, you get a lot of skills right now, you have to able to detect future rock stars, right? And you have to train them and being on top of them and helping them to be rock stars. They will basically really happy with that and really happy to help you. They will be, if they understand the product, the idea, the business strategy, they will be the future rock stars in another startups, and you have to be willing to train these profiles, right? And then as soon as you are starting to grow your team, you have to be able to evolve your monolith, as the beginning we said, right? Then you can start to think in more complex architectures, right? Splitting your piece of code. Another thing really important is to keep as much data as you can, because any data that you can get for your customers, any data that you get from your platform, it will be helpful in the future, not only for measurements, but for giving a better value proposition, right? So this is really important. And another thing is remove the technical debt. We were talking about that at the beginning. And maybe after 1 year, this is the moment, or after 6 months, this is the moment to start doing that if you are growing your team, right? You have to be focusing on the future, creating a platform that can scale and be working for your new clients. This is in the development side, in the software side, but on the design too. Sometimes, as we say at the beginning, you don't have the skills of create an amazing design. You can use templates, you can use already built design systems, but as soon as you are starting to consolidate, you have to think on your design system, right? You have to create some storytelling on your image. You have to be natural. You have to homogenize your buttons, your forms, your interface, your components, etc. Right? This is really important too. Another one is measure. As soon as you have your website, your platform, your mobile system, even data-driven, you need to measure your platform, understand what the user is doing on your platform. These are amazing tools. Hotjar, it helps you to create heat maps of where the users are clicking, what sections are they moving on, and how they are working on your platform, right? Of course, Google Analytics, you need to understand channels, URLs, where are they coming from, what devices are they using. You need to understand in real time how many people is connected, right? This is really interesting. You can create your own dashboard if you have enough data on your databases. This is a tool called Kibana that you can build on your servers, right? And it can be fed on your databases and creating really nice charts of logs, of visitors, of errors during the month, how you are evolving your platform, etc. And apart from measure, on the evolving process, you have to start spreading the word. You can create a referral feature on your platform where your client is your best referral. You can give a incentive to your client. You can give the vouchers, discounts on your platforms if they bring new users, right? Of course, embrace social ads. They are right now the trend for any digital product. It's where the people is. Instagram, Facebook, well, you don't need to know where. You need to create partnerships. Sometimes startups like you can combine with your solution, and that's really interesting because they can promote your site too. You can help each other. You can interchange development process, design process, marketing strategies, right? This is really interesting. And you need to talk about your product. Really good startups usually blog a lot, write on the news, go to events. They share a lot of knowledge and they share the process. Startups like Shopify have amazing blogs where they are sharing how to build an e-commerce platform. So they are always sharing their process and their ideas. This is something that will give you more awareness on the platform, right? And this is pretty much the whole process, okay? Well, here are some references. I really follow a lot of people, but since like 37 signals that are the creators of Basecamp, Ruby on Rails, they have a really nice book, Getting Real, Lean Startup, of course, Design Sprint, Funky for Business Forever. Someone on the bottom, but not the worst, is Pragmatic Programmer. It helps you a lot with the with the development process, right? So this is pretty much what we used to do in Acid Tango when we are launching a product with a client or a corporation, but this is something that you can replicate on your startup, right? So I hope this was helpful for you. Thank you. This is me. Anything you will need to know or you will like to ask me, I'm open to questions. Here you have my number, my email. Thank you a lot. I don't know, Phoebe.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Alejandro. So if anyone has any questions, I think we have time probably for a couple of questions. If you want to try turning your microphone on, I know we had some issues with someone's microphone earlier. So if you prefer to write it in the chat, feel free to write your questions in the chat. Alejandro, do you want to stop sharing? So yeah, perfect. So anybody got any questions?
Wait, I have a... So doesn't look like I think everything is very clear. Well, if you have any questions, you have my email, so I'm really open to. Well, it looks like Jason Martin. Yeah. Hello.
Hello, Alejandro. Since nobody had questions, on my experience building software, having been an entrepreneur myself, a startup co-founder a few times. I've seen many of these presentations, but I really commend you because you've managed to blend in the startup journey with the tech stack and the sometimes unnecessary complications of developers and how to kind of come up with a sensible solution. Of course, now you have, of course, a company that builds for other people. But when you're a startup founder, you really cannot get drawn into these lengthy conversations with developers or developers trying to be too perfectionist. Yeah. I based on my experience, this is spot on. Thank you so much for sharing this with us because it's cost me so much money and time and maybe even failures. Yeah. And I'm not a technical person. I'm coming from a different angle. I know they mean the best, right? And it's their way of thinking, but sometimes someone needs to understand that the business is run differently and that perfectionists in startups can kill the business, right?
Yeah. It's actually something that we learned a lot, failing a lot, because before to having Acid Tango, we were failing on startups, right? And during Acid Tango, we were talking always about perfection, and that after doing a lot of projects and working on a lot of MVPs, right, where we are really specialized on, we are right now understanding that these typical things that you need to address and align with the business side, right? So you need to, all of you, be focused on the objectives of the company, right? And providing, as I said, the minimum viable product, but not only on the design, but on the technical side. Sometimes you can provide a monolith and you can evolve, but as soon as you are clear with your business side and they are aligned with that, you can set up a roadmap for the future. So probably in a lot of slides, maybe developers are always talking about perfection. Maybe in other slides where you will see people from the business side talking about an MVP, they will be talking about launching really fast and they don't care about it, right? We would like to be on the middle, right? Maybe it's not perfection, but right now that we know, select the proper tools and understanding the best mechanisms for the future evolving of the platform. That's really something really important, right? I don't know your experience. I don't know if you want to tell us about.
Totally agree. I don't want to hijack the space, but I'm living that now, even now, after kind of, I'm not building my own startups anymore. I'm building for other people. But these situations repeat all the time. And of course, I agree with you that you have to find a balance. And that's also the importance of trying to work with the same people over and over again, so you know each other really well. And so then if for the next project, you know where you need to aim for straight away. And also, I have a quick question for you. Based on my experience, my first startup, I didn't realize how lucky I was. My co-founder was very experienced, and there was this really good developer who joined us only because he wanted to work with him. And I kind of knew, looking at this situation, that, okay, this guy is too good for us. He's going to go at some stage. How, in a situation like this, so how do you recruit a CTO for a startup? And if you manage to find a good guy, how do you manage him or her so that they, you know, that you're going to get the most out of them?
Yeah, in Acid Tango, we are not only something that I would like to tell you, we are working as an interim CTO at the beginning, but then we let that startup to go by itself. So we help our clients to hire CTOs, right, for those startups. Something you have to, as I said, you have to make your product really appealing, okay? So a good CTO, a clever CTO, right? It will be appeal for your product, for the technical challenge, okay? If they see a really good platform, a good CTO will be really involved with a really nice technical challenge. If they see potential, they would like to be involved. Of course, it will be really cynic if I don't mention stock options and money, right? Because startups are not always to be able to pay what a CTO cost, but if this CTO is, if you can embrace him with the idea and appeal him with what you are going to achieve and the team, most of them, they are involved, because sometimes a CTO will find more challenge on a startup than in a huge consultancy company or a huge business, because they can build their own team, they can make decisions, and it's an opportunity. Some CTOs, or at least good developers, sometimes need to experience on their career, and sometimes they make rich, maybe not, but if you are a good startup and you get some years on the field, that's a really nice experience for a CTO in the future, and to be hired in another startup. It's something that as a skill is really well recognized on the market. So you have to appeal him with a good project, with a good team, good idea, and a future. And future not only means you will gonna be rich, but means commitment in stock options or in something that you can provide him. And inside, internally, he will have those challenges on the future, right? You will need to appeal him with the challenge and the experience he will have.
Perfect. So I'm going to stop the questions there because we are coming to the end of our time. I'm going to stop the recording as well here.